Hey there, Without Fear of Her Future listeners. If you are hungry to create financial freedom, look no further than She Can 23. This is the nation's largest event for women already investing in real estate or those who want to begin. So join thousands of women just like you and I as we shatter the glass ceiling together and make history as women unlocking our financial security by investing in real estate. With exclusive workshops, networking sessions, and expert advice from the best in the world, you will be armed with the specialized knowledge that you need to make confident and educated real estate investments. You do not want to miss this powerful event where we women from all over the world come together to listen to industry giants. Last year, we had Barbara Corcoran, Jamie Carn-Lima, and even Elena Cardone. I cannot wait for you to see the lineup for this year. We are going to create lasting connections and friendships. Just imagine you and 25,000 other women with the same goals and desires at one event. It is a truly transformative experience. It's an event designed for women who are hungry for more, just like you. Empowerment and clarity like you have never felt before is waiting for you at She Can 23. Remember, if she can, you can too. Do not let this opportunity pass you by. Take action now and secure your tickets to She Can 23. It's time to invest in your future without fear and show the world what women are truly capable of. Visit shecan23.com/podcast to secure your seat today. It's linked in the description below. I cannot wait to see you at She Can 23. I bless you. Dream big and be brave.
We are cross-referencing the information that they put on their application and what the findings are based on social media, based on the background checks, based on talking to their employers and everything else, because we are measuring their integrity. Are you going to put the truth on your application? Because I'm digging, I'm unpacking. I turn into a private investigator.
Without Fear of Her Future podcast is for women who are passionately pursuing financial freedom, using multiple streams of income and real estate to accomplish their goals. We are here to empower you to be brave, dream big, and design a life that you love that inspires others to do the same. I am Teresa Todd, founder of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and author of the book Without Fear of Her Future.
And I'm Melissa Baker, a real estate investor and fitness coach specializing in turning properties from drab to fab. Today, we are thrilled to introduce a true titan of the real estate industry, Kim Avant-Babb, with an impressive career spanning nearly 4 decades. Woo. Kim, alongside her husband, has cultivated an unbeatable track record in property management and has become a beacon of success for landlords worldwide. From innovative digital products to her 0% eviction rate, you heard that right, 0%, Kim's wisdom is a treasure chest waiting to be opened. Join us as we dive into her gold mine of information and her relentless commitment to giving back to her community and empowering women in real estate. Kim, welcome.
Yes, we are so excited to have you.
So much. Absolutely. Thanks for the invitation. I'm excited.
It's so good to see you. Your impressive track record in the real estate investment industry speaks for itself. Can you tell us a little bit about your early days and how you got started in the field?
Sure, absolutely. It got started 41 years ago, and I remember succinctly because I met my husband 41 years ago. And prior to that, my family typically owned our primary home, but it wasn't until I met my husband and his family that they not only owned their primary home, but his mom owned investment properties. I had never been exposed to investment properties. And so fast forward, we were dating, we got together, we were an item, and his mom needed help renovating a particular triplex that she had. She made us a deal that we couldn't refuse, which was to my husband, you finish renovating the property and you can keep the rents. Well, it was a great opportunity, yes. And so he is a self-taught plumber, electrician, carpenter, etc. So that's where we hung out dating in our very early years. And once the project was completed, we skinned our teeth, we scraped our elbows on property management, just feeling our way through the dark and listing that property and getting tenants. So that's where we started, really managing his mom's rental properties, and then fast forward into our portfolio. But I don't know if you want me to go that far.
Oh, wow. Well, that's awesome. I love that story, and I
do
love the
too.
family aspect and
Yep.
the fact that it came to you. I have to go straight into Kim because this was something that blows me away. What's the secret behind your 0% eviction rate and 100% rent collection? Because it's a tremendous achievement, and especially given the challenges brought on by COVID, for you to be able to say that. So I want to hear
Yeah.
about this.
Absolutely. And so, what I'll say to you, or the question I'll ask to you and your audience, is that if you're married, if you're in a relationship, if you have children, you are navigating relationships, right? And so, we look at tenant relations and having tenants in the same way. And I teach and coach in this same manner, which is it's a marriage, it's a relationship. So, we spend a huge amount of time on the front end of finding the right tenant. I call it matchmaking. We are looking it seriously. We're looking for
I
someone
like that.
who obviously, meets our standards based on their background, their criteria, but also, core values, character, morals. And I go through the whole dating game with them to see if we have chemistry or not. And create this urgency and this scarcity that, and I mirror it to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? What was the special thing there? It was the golden ticket. You want to win the golden ticket. And so when I'm screening applicants, I am building up this expectation that in order to get into our tenant community, you want to win the golden ticket.
Ah.
And you have to meet all of our criteria, and you have to agree on certain things. So this is also how we look at it, right? We've built a portfolio of assets. We've put time, effort, and resources into it. And when we list a property, which right now we have 3 units that will turn over at the end of the month, a stranger wants us to give them the keys to our asset.
Mm-hmm.
That's like going on a blind date, right? And figuring out if you've got chemistry or not. And so we take very seriously checking background. We have the 8 steps to screening a rental applicant that is very intense and serious. Part of that screening process is, and what COVID has moved us towards is, because we couldn't be physically in the same space, is, for example, I just did a Zoom meeting with these applicants last week. Why? Because I want to read their body language. I want to ask them open-end questions. I want to see if we have a connection, because they are strangers and they want us to give them the key to our
Yes.
asset, which is the foundation of our generational wealth building machine. So we take it very seriously, and we have standards that have to be met within the letter of the law, of course,
Yeah.
right? I have a very good friend. She's a judge. And I borrowed her perspective that I heard her share years ago, and that is, while sitting on the bench, right, being presented with cases, individuals, and data, she stands in judgment of people every day to determine their fate. And I believe that our screening process does the same thing. We have to stand in judgment of strangers who want us to give them the keys to our asset. And so it wasn't until about 7 or 8 years ago that we realized that we had never evicted anyone. With all of the managing of my mother-in-law's units, of our units, it wasn't something that was intentional. It was something that just happened based on the standards that we built around the screening process, the relationship building with our tenants, who, by the way, are our on-site property managers. Like, we bring them into our team. It's just not a warm body
Yeah.
in a property that's giving us a rent check every month. It's
Yeah.
more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, that's incredible.
It is.
0 evictions. I mean, I love that. So let's talk a little bit about more about that tenant selection. You said that I believe you said you had 8 guidelines. What kind
Yes.
of can you share some of that with us?
Well, I can share a couple.
Okay.
There's the 8 steps to screening a rental applicant. So we're not looking just at the data, like it's a comprehensive process that we use. But for example, we're doing background checks.
Mhm.
We are talking to previous landlords as far back as we can go. Over the
Okay.
years, I've spoken to not only the last, but two or maybe three landlords, right?
Okay. Yep.
We are talking to employers. We are cross-referencing the information that they put on their application and what the findings are based on social media, based on the background checks,
Yeah.
based on talking to their employers and everything else, because we are measuring their integrity. Are you
Yeah.
going to put the truth on your application?
Yeah, that's
Because I'm digging, I'm unpacking. I turn into a private investigator. Is what I teach, really.
Yeah.
And because it's very serious. It's very serious.
Well, I
Yeah.
love that, and I love that you mentioned social media because I am a believer that you can learn so much about a person by
Yes.
their social media. It really
Yes.
can speak volumes about a person, and I think not everybody realizes that. I mean, I don't know another way to say this, but that we're really being judged. People are determining
Yes.
who we are by our social media.
That's true. That's so true. You got to be careful.
Yeah,
And it's more broader than we realize.
yes,
Employers are looking at your
absolutely.
social media.
Yeah.
It's just we are out there, we're being tracked, and so it's not the only spoke in the wheel, right? It's not a deal breaker, but it's definitely a part of the
Yeah,
compilation
Yeah.
of all of the data that we're gathering. In addition to interacting with you, asking open-end questions during that screening process, and shutting our mouths and being quiet and listening. Like
yeah.
people can tell you a lot if you listen. And one of the other components of that screening process, which is not common, but we do it, and if it's geographically convenient, we will visit where you currently live.
Oh, that's
Wow.
smart.
That is.
Yeah.
That is.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Why is that? Why is that? Because we want to see how you're living. Now, we can't
Yes.
dictate your cleaning habits, but we do want to see that you maintain a property, that you take care of a unit. And reality is, full disclosure, we have denied an applicant based on that site visit. They knew we were coming,
Mm-hmm.
but it just didn't meet our standard. If we're going to
Yes.
pour thousands of dollars into a full gut rehab,
Yep.
and it's pristine, we want you to maintain that. And if you exemplify that you can't, then that's just one of the boxes that is
Yes.
checked that you don't meet
Brilliant.
our
That's some
standard.
good advice.
Yes, it is.
That is
great
really good.
advice. Great advice. Okay, I love that you also did this side by side with a marriage. I mean, you're really thinking about it. So now let's just talk about. I know you're working with your family, mother-in-law, all of that, and then you've had this marriage as well as this business for almost 4 decades. So how have you been able to balance your business and marriage over these years?
What I'm going to say is, as Langston Hughes would say, life ain't been no crystal staircase, but we we push through. And again, if you're in a relationship with kids or a boss, you pray for me and I'll pray for you.
There
That's
you
what I'll
go.
say. But we have been very fortunate. I'm not going to get spiritual because I don't know, what the audience, what their, pulse is like, but we really feel retrospectively that we were brought together.
Yeah.
We met as artists, so we are visionary. We have vision. We're creators, and when this opportunity was presented to us years ago by his mom, it's just something that we gelled together about. I pray every day for love, lust, trust, patience, and communication in my marriage.
Woo.
That's
Love,
good.
love, lust, trust, patience, and communication.
Oh, man.
And all of those components, I think, are essential to our longevity. This month, we'll be married for 39 years.
Ah,
And, has it always been smooth? Have we always been on the same page? No, but we communicate and we work it
Yes.
through. Now, what we came together about back in the early 90s when we really were, I call it a motherly nudge, okay, is how we got into the investment space, aside from my mother-in-law, who, by the way, was a college educated factory sewer.
Wow.
Back in the 50s, African American female could not land a job. So she became a factory sewer, as my mother and many of my aunts did. Back then, that was a good job,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we brought our primary home back in the 80s, and it took my mother in law, the late Estella Babb, 10 years of nudging us and encouraging us to buy rental properties. We weren't paying attention. We were partying and digging a hole of debt, right?
Yeah.
And so after about 10 years, she finally convinced us with a call and said that two properties had become available. And she wanted us to buy one of these properties, which was $14,000. And unbeknownst to her son, she had squirreled away $14,000 in the savings account for him as his
Wow.
inheritance. She said, "This is the deal. I'll give it to you to buy this property with the understanding that when I die, you will not get an inheritance." This is a factory seller who squirreled away this money. We
Wow.
went to settlement the
Wow.
same day, and we still own that property today. So we're not talking 10x, we're not talking 20x, we're talking 30x in value and the opportunity to build generational wealth. So,
Yeah.
um, and to answer your question even deeper, I was laid off from my job twice. My husband was laid off once, and we decided that we would no longer allow someone else to control our economic health.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what was the trajectory into building real estate so that we could create our own economic stream with the help of my mother-in-law many years ago. And so
Yeah.
we've come together, my husband and I, on concepts like this. And it just made so much sense, and it strengthened our relationship, it strengthened our marriage around wealth, sustainability, educating our children about wealth and our
Yes.
grandchildren. So it's so much about communication and ideas and vision and then implementing
I
them.
love it. I love it. I love your honesty about, hey, it hasn't just been easy,
Yeah.
but you just keep going, pushing through. And I love prayer and all of those things. That's what makes any relationship work. So I love that. And then what a hero your mother-in-law was. That's incredible. You know, my sons are the one that got me into this business, and it took them 3 years to talk me in to giving it a try. So I understand how we can be so hard headed. And mine was not on mine was on the other end of the spectrum. You were young, and I was thinking I was too old to get started to make a big change like that.
My mother-in-law, to the point of age, was investing in real estate into her 70s.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. So, can we talk a little bit about the transitional period with your career and moving into investing full time? You just touched on it a little bit. Go into what that looked like, because investing can be a risky business, and especially for a young couple
Yeah.
getting into it.
Sure. Yeah, so that early motherly nudge was what it was. We had a great support system around that, and we had, developed some discipline and the why of why we were going to be doing it to do it. But the transition into full investing came in the fourth quarter of 2018, and I'm able to be succinct about that. Why? Because I suffered a brain injury.
Oh.
uh, Yes, on my lunch at work, I was walking, tripped on an uneven sidewalk. And prior to that, I'm a very innovative person. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. I've got that S on my chest, right? And when I experienced that brain injury, I fought for 72 hours to shake it off.
Mm.
And when my speech started slurring and I experienced stroke like symptoms, I said, "Okay, Kim, you need to take that S off your chest. This is serious." And
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
4 months later of healing, and we wonder why infants sleep so much, right? It's because their brains are developing.
Mm.
And so sleeping 18 hours a day, allowing my brain to heal, gave me just a flash of reality that life can happen in the blink of an eye.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was spared to survive that. And when I returned to work, I had written down, which I still have the 3x5 card in red magic marker, the date that I was going to fire my 9 to 5
All
because
right.
life was too short. Life is too short.
Yes.
Wow.
And during that healing period, like, I had a spiritual moment where the universe was showing me how the pieces were connecting together that allowed me to fire my 9 to 5, and that my 9 to 5 had done its job, right? It was our silent investor in helping us build our real estate empire, and it has served its purpose. And when I
Yes.
went back,
Wow.
I retired in March of 2020 during the pandemic. As a matter of fact, I made the announcement. I left a very cushy, very high level position in the state of New Jersey, company car, corporate credit, the whole bit. It didn't matter. I'm out because that 9 to 5 had served its purpose to help us over the previous 30 years plant the seeds of real estate, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we watered and we weeded and we grew the real estate portfolio with the help of the 9 to 5s that we had,
Yeah.
and they had served their purpose. So I was out, I was healed, and I said I can transition from my career to my calling.
Woo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's when I started Legacy Real Estate Consulting, which is our education arm.
Love it. That's incredible.
That
Incredible.
really is. Tell us where you got that courage, Kim, to quit that 9 to 5, that cushy that kind of offered everything. The goal of a lot of our listeners and the women in our network is to do just that. But that's a big step.
So I talk to women, around the country. I was just on an international podcast with someone in New Zealand, and I'm talking to audience because I feel that mindset is so important in
Mm-hmm.
life, right? In life and in business. And I'm encouraging them, if they haven't learned the game of chess, to learn the game of chess. I retired as chief strategy officer at a very high level authority in New Jersey. I'm a landlord strategist. When you learn chess is different than checkers. Like, you have to
Yes.
think like the chess master, a couple or a few moves ahead
Mm.
at a time. So when we talk about the role of your 9 to 5, when we talk about the transition from that quote unquote stability, you have to think 2, 3, 4 steps ahead,
Mm.
and you have to be consistent. You have to be persistent. You have to be disciplined, and you have to be focused. And I believe when I made the decision, and I think I've said I 3 times in this sentence because it wasn't I. My
Yes.
husband was not feeling it. When I told him I was retiring, he told me, "Oh no, you're not." I said, "Oh yes, I am." Because as we stand 10 toes down in our own space,
Mm-hmm.
life is singular. And at some point along the journey, I believe in my soul of souls that we may be forced to make decisions that are in our best interest.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, uh, I was ready to turn the page on that chapter, and that's what I did. So
Well, I
we
have
have.
all the respect for that. I mean, but I also believe a brain aneurysm, it brings you back to reality. And it was. You're like, okay, this is my decision that I have to do for myself. And I love that. I just respect you so much.
Yeah. God clearly had some great plans for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're a
Yes.
rock star. As I just listened to you talk. You're brilliant and courageous. And I absolutely love that. Especially just showing women what is possible.
Yeah.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Well, you
Thank
have a
you.
strong desire to give back to the community, especially to women. So, can you share some ways that you're doing this and what your future plans are in regard to that?
I believe that our journey, at least for me, I've embraced this adage of learn, earn, and return.
Oh,
I believe
that's
in our
good.
journey that we should be lifetime students and learn as much as we can. In our careers, we are compensated and we earn based on what we've learned, right? I believe that I'm in the third phase of that, which is return and pouring back into the community what I've learned, what I've earned, a great deal of income on, and now I want to return it. So every opportunity that I get, I'm speaking to women. I'm encouraging them. I want to be an example for them. May was a phenomenal month for me. I spoke at two major women conferences. One just about empowerment, the Hey Girl Conference. And a couple weeks ago, I was in Scottsdale, Arizona, speaking at a national women's real estate investment conference, which was phenomenal.
Woo!
Nice.
Yes, yes. And so every chance I get, I want to be the example that if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
If I can do it, then you can do it.
Mhm.
And the extra layer, and I don't mind being transparent because I'm very proud of the fact that I've never let schooling get in the way of my education.
Yes.
I've
That's
never
good.
let schooling get in the way of my education. Even though I've matriculated 5 times to universities over my
Mm.
career, looking for the validation of a degree. I have not obtained a degree, but I've never let education or schooling get in the way of my education. And so I've been blessed that individuals in leadership, CEOs, presidents of companies have seen my skill set and given me opportunities to bring value to their companies, even without a degree.
Yep.
So I encourage women like don't don't let don't let standards, don't let boxes box you in.
Mhm.
Stand with your chest full and your 10 toes down, build your skill set, and be
Yeah.
confident about who you are and what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Woo, I love
That's
it.
so
I
good.
love
So
all
good.
of that. I agree. You just need to get the specialized knowledge, whether we're talking real estate or whatever it is that you're interested in. But it doesn't matter your economical background or your education. I am a strong believer, like you said, though, in personal development and having a growth mindset because
Yeah.
90% of what we do or find, if we are going to find success, has to do with our mindset.
120%.
Yeah.
I teach that in reference to landlording and property management.
Yeah.
I introduced the landlord MSRP formula, right? Which speaks specifically about mindset. So let me talk this first. Let me say this first.
Yeah.
The landlord MSRP formula for the retail connoisseurs out there does not mean manufacturer's suggested retail prices. All right, it does not. It stands for mindset, because I believe who we are as individuals is more important than our businesses,
Woo.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because who we are pours out into the interaction, how we treat other people, how we make decisions. So, mindset, skill set. Okay, you can have talent, but you might not have the skill set.
Mhm.
And a good
Yeah.
friend of mine coined a phrase which I use often, and that is landlording is a skill set.
I like it.
Landlording is a
Yeah.
skill set. And then MSRP, R is for resources. Our space as a business and bad properties has been acquisition, gut, rehab, and hold, right? If you're going to be in that space, you need resources. You need vendors, you need contractors, and you need funding and financing.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Good.
and then P is for what's your plan? I'm going back to the chess master again, right? What is your
Yeah.
plan? I want you to be intentional. I want you to be strategic about your movement in this real estate space and not arbitrary.
Ooh.
So, MSRP, mindset, skill set, resources, and plan. Do you have that formula?
Oh,
God, that's so good.
yeah,
That
so
is so good.
good.
I hope everybody was listening
I
to that.
know.
Rewind a little bit. Take some
Take
notes
some-
on that, especially for
absolutely.
the women that are
Yeah.
renting their properties. That is awesome.
It surely is. This is really good
Oh,
information
so good.
today. So okay. Finally, looking back at nearly 4 decades in this industry, what key advice would you give to someone starting out in real estate, especially if they want to be a landlord or if they just want to own rentals? What's that one key advice you would give them?
Just one, just one.
That's hard, isn't it?
Just one, yeah. Realize, well, at the top of the answer, realize they're not growing any more land. Okay.
That's right.
So the value of real estate has been eternal. Wars have been fought over land. There's
Yeah.
so much connect. You couldn't vote if you didn't own land. Okay. So put it in its place of importance and understand that it's just a part of essentials, right? Food, shelter, and clothing. And decide what you're going to sacrifice to get into this space. What do I mean by that? Are you going to sacrifice going on vacations, or buying consumer products, right? Are you going
Mm-hmm.
to give up time with your family? Are you going to give up sleep
Yeah.
because you've got to be going to conferences and networking and studying? So decide what your why is and what you're willing to give up, because it takes time, effort, and resources, but it's worth it because it's going to build a financial foundation for you. I mentioned earlier about us planting our real estate seeds 30 plus years ago. We've been watering, nurturing, and weeding that real estate portfolio. And almost 40 years later, we're walking in our victory garden
Yes,
right
you
That's
now.
are.
awesome.
Victory garden. I
Yes,
love
that is
that.
awesome.
I love that. I
So
know
I
you.
say to the listeners, plant your seeds, do your due diligence, make the sacrifice, and be consistent.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Whenever you just talked about the victory garden, I think about, I know that you're going to be familiar with the scripture that in Proverbs it says that she considers a field and buys it. So that tells us that even back then there were women investors. She considers a field and buys it, and with her
Yes.
earnings, she plants a garden. And that's exactly what
Yes.
you have done with your earnings. You have planted your victory garden. I love that.
Yes, and we're feeding the world. We're feeding, causes, and helping others with the reward that we've been blessed with.
Ye-
Because to whom much has been given, much is expected.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
So
we
good.
Love
we
it.
cannot be myopic about just collecting the dollars, but we have to constantly give back and feed.
Oh, yes.
So
Yes,
true.
yes.
Yes. Can you share a little bit more about your education tools that you have? You mentioned Landlord Docs 30, the Landlord Journal series, and Landlord Thrive checklists, just to name a few.
Sure. So, as a strategist, like the way my brain operates is process, right? Even when I was during my career, I was always making checklists and intake forms. And so, over the years, because we were building our business, simultaneous to our 9 to 5s, I was building and creating checklists and documents over the years. And again, probably about when we realized that we had a 0% eviction rate, I said to my husband, like, we have like we have a bundle. I've created a bundle of
Yes.
documents
It's
from our
awesome.
leases to our applications. And he would come home and ask me for, can I get a blank copy of the application? Somebody on the job needs a copy. Or can I get a blank
Uh,
copy of the lease? And I said, you know what, there's value here.
yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Let's
Yeah.
let's make this available to the community. And again, it was 2020. I never forget. We were in an
Mm.
airport, and I had worked with a designer to create the Landlord Docs 30 bundle, which is a digital property management document bundle. It gives you everything from your application to your leases, your addendums, walkthrough lists, and everything. And I put it out into the marketplace. We were in the airport, and I got an email with articulating our first purchase. I said to my husband, I told you there was value. I told you. And so the landlord community has been very receptive to the Landlord Docs 30 bundle because I discouraged them from going to Staples and buying a lease. It is not looking out for your best interest. Our lease is legally reviewed and approved. It has 10 pages of clauses and conditions that's going to not only protect you but protect the tenant as well. So Landlord Docs 30 is that digital property management document bundle that we've made available. And the Landlord Thrive list, I came up with like 5 points that I believe will underpin your landlording. I don't want you to just survive. I want you to thrive.
Love it.
So this
Yeah.
is the
So good.
Landlord Thrive checklist. And it's talking about asset protection. It's talking about having your financial business in line. It's talking about your customer service strategy. So it's hitting like five
Mm.
points that you really need to focus on as a landlord to thrive within this business.
Gosh, so good.
That
You
is.
are. I love that bundle. It's a bundle of information.
It is. It is. Kim, we like to ask our guests for 3 takeaways. So what 3 things would you advise an investor or an entrepreneur who is looking to be brave and grow, or is perhaps feeling stuck where they are?
What I would say is that you cannot be conveniently comfortable. And as Muhammad Ali was quoted to say, if your goals don't scare you, find new goals.
Oh,
Right?
so good.
So set big goals. And an example of that for me is I'm not a runner, I'm a wogger. So I walk and I jog, right? And a personal goal that I set for me was to run in all 50 states and on all 7 continents. That's a
Oh,
huge goal, right? I ran in 39 states and 3 continents.
Wow.
good for
Wow.
you.
Next week I will run in Europe, so that'll be the 4th continent.
Woo,
So
Wow.
that's amazing.
create goals that scare you, to push you and challenge you. That's number 1. And then secondly, I would say like love really hard on yourself. Love so hard on yourself that you will make decisions like I did that are in your best interest and not feel guilty about it,
Yes.
because we only get one time around.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, success leaves clues. If you want to be somewhere or be in a space like real estate, success leaves clues. Get into those rooms, get a mentor, get a coach, educate yourself, and know that it's possible. And do your due diligence, do the work, and figure out what you need to do to get from where you are to where you want to be.
Oh, I agree. Great advice.
That's so
Great
good.
advice.
That is so good. Kim, really quick while we finish up, can you tell our listeners where they can find you online and how they can connect with you?
Sure. So my website is www.LLDOCS30 and you can find me on Instagram under that same acronym LLDOCS30 and on Facebook as well under Kim.Babb.7798. Kim.Babb, Babb.7798, and I'm sure you'll put that in the show notes.
Yes, we will. And thank you. I actually started following you this morning and love it. So I want to encourage all of our listeners to go and check her out, and it will be in all of that information will be in the show notes.
Yes, yes. All right, Teresa, I want to hear your takeaways from Kim.
Oh my
'Cause there's so
gosh.
much.
Yes. Well, I love her passion for being a quality landlord. I mean, she's really put a lot of thought into it. It's just not haphazard.
Right.
And she's found amazing success at it. So, yeah, that's my biggest takeaway. And for any of our listeners who are considering being that landlord and having rentals, I think this is a great lesson and a great talk for everybody
Yeah.
just to take the notes and live it.
And she's got some great tools. it sounds,
Absolutely.
to help.
So look her up.
Yes,
Follow
yes.
her. Well, if you have not subscribed to the Without Fear of Her Future podcast, hit that subscribe button today for new episode reminders. And as we wrap up, I have a special invitation for you, an invitation to safeguard your financial future forever. That's the promise of She Can 23. She Can 23 is the biggest event for women real estate investors in the country. Go to shecan23.com/podcast today to secure your seat in this historical event for women. It's nationwide. Again, it's shecan23.com/podcast. And I cannot wait to see you at She Can 23.
Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and Teresa Todd, I'm Melissa Baker, encouraging you to be brave and dream big.